So we can call the January 8th, 2025 regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order, and we can start with the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And so we just wanted to start by sharing a condolence. We're very sad to share that community recently lost Jason Valet, a longtime reporter, who I'm sure a lot of you know with the Westerly Sun, who covered our town for quite some time. He'll be very, very fondly remembered in Stonington for his integrity, his honesty, his fairness, and his fact-based reporting. We're sending our heartfelt condolences to his family, friends, and colleagues, and we're going to just ask for a moment of silence for Jason. Thank you. And I also wanted to just add that tomorrow there'll be a statewide minute of silence at 10 a.m. in honor and memory of President Jimmy Carter, and we've shared that on the town socials, just to remind people.
Okay.
Okay, on to other topics. The first item is interviews for the Charter Revision Commission. Patty Burwell, would you like to come on down? You just couldn't quite get enough of the town. Retirement. I think you helped write these questions originally for boards and commissions a very long time ago.
You shouldn't have to read them.
But Ben, do you want to start?
Sure. Evening, Patty. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for volunteering. What is your opinion of the responsibilities and primary functions of the Charter Revision Commission?
So I think the Charter Revision Commission should be looking at the town's charter with an eye to whether there's areas that can be enhanced or improved or changed that will optimize, streamline, or improve the town's operations. I do know that there was a Charter Revision Commission that was in place last year, and they did a lot of work. Some of it made it onto the ballot, and some of it did not. So I know there's been some groundwork done by that committee, but it's really to look at the charter. I don't think the charter, needs major wholesale changes, but are there areas that can be changed that will help improve the town's operations, streamline something or enhance something? I think secondarily, the Charter Revision Commission has to figure out a better way to engage residents. Which is a challenge with every board and commission, but at the end of the day, residents are going to vote on any proposed changes. So engaging residents in the process and finding a way to educate them about proposed changes and getting them to be more part of the process, I think is another key responsibility of the commission. How you do that is another question, but I think it is a key responsibility of the commission.
Can I follow up on that? Since you're on that, I'm glad you brought up this public engagement. And I'm just wondering if you have any thoughts on engaging the public early in the process.
I think
to help come up with.
I think they should be engaged, but one of the challenges, the main way we engage people is social media. So you're going to get at people that are on social media. You can post it. We're going to have a meeting. Come to the meeting. I know there weren't a lot of people that attended the meetings last time, so maybe there's a better way to get more people to attend the meetings. But we can use social media and things like that to try to get better attendance. But I do think having people attend the meetings when items are being discussed would be really helpful and valuable.
Do you want to do the second one?
Sure. This is a good one for you, Patty. We'd like to know what relevant experience you have specific to this commission. In responding, please include professional and volunteer experience and what unique skill set you would bring to the commission.
So I have not served on a board or commission for the town, but I was the Director of Administrative Services for 4 years, having just retired this past September. In that role, I have a very good understanding of the operations of every town department and how things work. Probably in my first week or two of employment with the town, I read the charter a few times. It was one of the key documents I read. I can't memorize it, but I would say I've read it more than probably most people. So I'm pretty familiar with the charter. In addition, I did a lot of project management facilitating when I was in the town as well, which I think is somewhat relevant. Partnering with Stacy Haskell here, I created a board and commission guide for new board and commission members to help them be more effective, so I have a good understanding of how boards and commissions work and helping them to be more effective. I've attended many Board of Selectmen meetings. I've attended the Climate Change Commission. I attended 2 of the Charter Revision Commission meetings, kind of in my town role, but also as a resident, so I'm familiar with the work of that commission. And I've attended probably too many Board of Finance meetings that I will not miss attending in February and March. So I've attended a lot of board meetings, so I have that good experience. I was also the Freedom of Information Act coordinator for the town, so I have a good knowledge of FOIA, how it relates to how boards and commissions should operate as well. Outside of my town role, I'm on the board of the Terry Broder Breast Cancer Foundation. I was board president there from 2019 to 2023. Prior to working for the town, I also had a 30-year career in human resources as my career. On the Terry Broder Breast Cancer Foundation, I'm the vice moderator at my church. I have to leave right from here to go chair a meeting there. I chair the Safety and Security Committee at my church, and I'm on a committee for Safe Futures New Family Justice Center looking at operations, and we're looking at bylaws and partnership agreements and operation manuals. So that's kind of my experience.
You're a real slacker, thank you.
What was that?
You're a real slacker. I'm kidding, sorry. So last question, upon completion of the Charter Review Commission, what would you consider as a successful outcome?
I would say that residents vote to approve the changes that are proposed, and that those changes help to improve town operations. And the residents are engaged in the process. So to me, that they vote to approve the changes make sense, they help to improve something in how the town operates, and that residents have a good understanding and appreciation for what those changes are and why they make sense to be approved.
Thank you. Do we have follow-up questions?
No.
Do you have any questions for us?
No, I don't. I think I have a pretty good understanding. I know David is on the current commissioner, so, and I look forward to, if I am elected to be on it, I look forward to being part of it.
All right, thank you.
And I do apologize for having to leave. Normally I would stay.
You're fine, thank you. Stay warm, drive safe. Any comments from the public? I don't think so, but just checking. Okay, could I get a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of December 11th, 2024?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on those?
No, thank you.
Good job, Stacy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. So just to note, under correspondence, we received, very excited, an application from Jonathan Klein for the Southeastern Connecticut Water Authority. And then obviously we received an application from Patty Burmo for the Charter Revision Commission. Under Housing Opportunities Commission, could I get a motion to appoint Henry Gord, who for the audience that may be watching is here with us today, to the Housing Opportunities Commission?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
No, thank you for
No,
volunteering.
we need more bodies on the Housing Opportunities Commission.
We'll provide a little better gender balance also, no pressure, but. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Henry, thank you so much. We let you take a little break from town boards, but I'm glad you're back. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Do you have anything you wanted to share or say?
No, I look forward to contributing what I can. Plan on going to the Housing Authority meeting tomorrow to get a sense of what goes on there.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. We're excited. I'm sure we'll be talking more. So next, could I get a motion under to appoint Patrick Herlihy, thank you, Herlihy, as an alternate member of the Pawcatuck River Harbor Management Commission?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
No, I think he's going to be a big help to that commission because he's got experience in Mystic and lives in Pawcatuck, and they're kind of struggling through the writing of that, so I think it'll be a great addition.
Thank him so much. I'm so excited. This commission's really going along.
Yes.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Nothing under old business. Under new business, this is more for discussion. I mean, we could vote on creating a policy if you want tonight, or I thought of it more as just a discussion point, but just to share, so as you know, but in July 2023, we established a building permit fee policy for local nonprofits. The practice had been there for a long time, but there was no actual policy around it, and we found it was starting to get a little
Crazy.
Yeah, a little snowballing. So we created the policy, and since then we've received and approved 2 permit waiver requests. And so recently, the Planning and Zoning Department received a request for a fee waiver, which as far as we know hasn't really ever, or at least since we've been here, happened. So it prompted us to say, we should probably bring this to the Board of Selectmen and talk about, should we create a similar policy And in background, the department did share with us, in 2024, there were 5 nonprofits that applied for zoning permits, and their fees totaled $600. Additionally, they did want to share that when looking at also the Zoning Board of Appeals and other applications, I guess, to planning and zoning, it went up to $1,500. And so, again, I think the fees for planning and zoning are less than building, probably why it hasn't, this request hasn't come up before.
But it would include like special permit application fees and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it could include anything we
Yeah.
decided. It couldn't include anything that goes to the state, that would still have to go.
Yeah.
But it would include, like ours, so like they said, of the 5 nonprofits that applied in the last year, it was $600. We had capped it for our building policy for a single nonprofit, they couldn't over a course of a certain 10 years?
$10,000 per 20 years.
For 20
Yeah.
years, so we said
Yeah.
over 20 years, it couldn't exceed 10,000. So I mean, we could set a similar threshold, a lower threshold, we could just say we only do it for building permits, not for planning and zoning. And yeah, again, just to get your thoughts or get you guys thinking about it, we could talk about it more at the next meeting. It's a tricky one.
I mean, my thought would be, and again, this is just
Yeah,
brainstorming, what if we made it building and planning together? So you couldn't exceed that threshold for both together. I mean,
How do you feel about giving more, I mean, essentially like town revenue basically back to nonprofits? To get an additional.
So the only issue I have with that, and because we've talked about it a lot at the flood erosion control, for certain things like the stormwater, things that the town has to do with the MS4 permit, they aren't really contributing
Yeah.
to that. So that's kind of my only concern with some of these. We want to make sure that balances. I mean, it is a way to have them contribute, to the town coffers, basically, fairly. So that, that's why I don't think I could make a decision tonight. I want to, see some more information, but.
Yeah, I mean, building permit fees to me have always seemed like kind of temporary property tax. It's like property tax before the building's done, covers you for the term of the construction. Whereas the fees, the application fees and permit fees are something different because they're really involving time of town staff, and it doesn't mean I'm against it. I
there's a
agree
lot
with you
to
that
think
it's
about.
different from the building.
Especially if it's a zoning, and again, I'm being very high level, a zoning fee for a change that is very long-term and could maybe only impact that nonprofit or impact, a larger section of the town. I mean,
It's hard to think, no matter what town staff time.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking,
Yeah.
because that's quite a bit of time.
Yeah, going into it and reviewing it, but obviously our nonprofits and fire departments contribute a lot. So, it's great to find ways to help support them, but it's basically like giving pro bono time of town staff to them. So yeah, maybe like just think about it and.
Yeah, I would say, I like, Deb, I like your idea of perhaps combining the two at a $10,000 cap, or maybe even better, having a lower cap, a much lower cap for the zoning.
Yeah.
So it would be more like maybe you're giving an hour of staff time.
Yeah, or
something like
maybe a
that.
total of $1,000
Yeah.
or.
Over 20 years or something, yeah.
It's not very
No,
much, but.
yeah.
But we are. Okay, so yeah, if you guys both want to think about it, we
Okay.
could come back at the next meeting and talk more about it. But yeah, no, there might be something.
I'm all right with it in principle, I
Yeah.
just think we got to work out the details.
Yeah,
We
work
do.
out details and make it fair so it isn't,
Yeah.
but.
Okay, perfect. Next, okay, additional appropriation for the Charter Revision Commission. So we briefly talked about this last time, we got the numbers down, but as per the timeline established at our last meeting regarding the Charter Revision Commission, we anticipate voting to reestablish the commission at our next meeting. To ensure funding is available in this fiscal year, we're requesting an additional appropriation. The Board of Finance is meeting right after us tonight, and so basically they asked that we vote on it first. But so just also note, if we do decide at our next meeting not to establish the meeting, the revision commission, then the funding just won't be appropriated. So with that said, could I get a motion to approve an additional appropriation of $25,000 for the Charter Revision Commission?
So moved.
Second.
Right, discussion.
So the 25 is for this year?
Yes,
It does not include the
Next.
publishing?
yes,
Oh,
which will be in
so-
the next fiscal budget.
So there's nothing left. Oh, we're not adding to anything that's left over.
We spent it all.
We spent it all.
Yeah. I think we spent more, yeah. All exactly, or maybe a little over. So yeah, this would just be for basically
This is for this
February
fiscal-
through
July.
June, yeah, and then the rest of it would be in the next fiscal, or potentially 2 fiscals, depending on how long they do.
By then, maybe we'd know more, haha, about the publishing.
Well, yeah, because the legislation could pass this year.
Yeah. Okay.
Which would dramatically drop it down.
Yeah, exactly. So that
What
makes sense.
legislation was that?
Every
Medicine?
year about about just not having to publish full legal ads in newspapers. It gets put up like every year and never gets
Oh.
passed. But you never know.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Not? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Onto it, I think, more exciting topic. Not that the charter is not exciting. We talked about this last time, but we got official word and obviously documentation that DEEP is agreed to continue to fund our curbside composting program through the end of the fiscal year. Obviously, we'd love to see another year of funding, but that we weren't able to get anything on that for now. There might be another round of grants that will come out that we'll obviously actively be going after. But this is still amazing and fantastic, because if not, the program would be ending this month. So we're very excited. So basically, this resolution in the packet authorizes the first selectman to enter into, execute, and deliver the documentation regarding the DEEP Sustainable Materials Management Grant, bridge funding for the waste reduction, including the food scrap collection. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
No, this is great.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
It's
no,
just such an
Yeah.
important program. If there's a way to continue.
no. Well, that's what we'll have to
Can't wait for that new plant, though.
talk more about how we can get it to keep going. But it was amazing, and Jill Senior deserves a lot of credit for this, so thank you to
It's a
Jill.
lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
It is.
I
I mean, I'd love to see us be able to pull in some of the, like I know the Seaport was interested and schools are interested, but if they're commercial, it's the whole residential versus commercial collection.
Yeah. No, I
If there's a
mean,
way to do it, it would be great.
it would be. I think right now what we all have to focus on, and we could use any help we can get, is just getting the word out to residents, because the cost will essentially go down the more people that participate. So we only have about, it's not only, it's wonderful. We have 1,500 households participating, which is great. We've diverted something like, was it like 278 pounds of food from being burned, which is amazing.
Not pounds.
It's tons,
Well, we
right?
had a tonnage one, and then we also have a pound one, because I thought it might be easier for people to picture. Let me check it. I'll check it while we do
You said
this.
278.
278
That would be
pounds.
from my house.
Sorry, I'm such a liar. I'm so glad you thought of that. Not even close. 754,000 pounds
Okay,
of
that
food
makes a lot
diverted.
more
There we go. I
sense. 'Cause I
read
knew
there
it
was
was
a
a
K in
ton
there.
number
I'm trying to
before.
picture the post.
Was that a year and a half?
Yeah, so that's a lot,
That's
right?
a lot. It is a lot.
So yeah, and so just so people know, if anyone in this room isn't composting and is interested in it, the green bags as of now are still free, whereas obviously your yellow bags you pay for. And so any food, like for us, I know for our household, we now only put out yellow bags usually like every other week, and green bags go out every week. But so it's, cost savings for you, it's great for the environment.
Last time I bought yellow bags at McQuaid's, there was a green bag.
Yes, so that's part of the promotion that Jill worked on with DEEP was there'll be a green bag in all the yellow bags for a little while. We're hopefully going to get the billboard up and going to help further promote it. But any word of mouth is really helpful, because again, just having a separate can for your food waste right next to your trash is really amazing.
I mean, it's good because we're big composters. We actually have a countertop composter.
You're advanced.
However, you can't put bones in it. and there's other things. So I use the green bags for that. So even though sometimes my green bag doesn't have very much in it, it still goes out every week. So
Good job. So yeah, we could use help with that and just getting the word out, and that would be really wonderful. So, but.
And I think we
digress.
still, and I've mentioned it to Marianne, and I think we need to follow up on it, getting the word out through the schools, or if there's a way to get green bags, even one could go home with a kid, something.
Yeah.
Because those are all residential
Yeah.
properties, so.
Okay, will you follow up with her about
I
that?
will,
Because
I
Jill,
will.
and you could get Jill, and like
I'll
we
get
could create
Jill
a
involved,
flyer
yeah.
and like what education on. I think we did one at the end of last year, but we can make it really just focused on composting.
Yeah, yep. And if
That's
there
really
is
great.
a way to somehow, even have them in the offices or something, green bags that might be available, or, oh no, we can talk about that with
Yeah, send them
Marianne.
home with sample bags. Yeah.
It'd be fabulous, distribution among children.
It's fine. It's all for a good cause.
Sending plastic bags, we might not be able to send them home with the kindergarten,
I know.
but, maybe older kids.
Yeah, at least high school kids. All right, so sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the motion carries. This was like the quickest meeting ever. So comments from the selectmen?
Do you want to go first?
Yeah, well, mine's real quick. I
Yeah.
really don't have any comments other than on this subject. I did go to the meeting back in November that Dave Aldrich hosted about the new plant,
Okay.
presenting that whole thing up in Gales Ferry at their offices, and it was pretty exciting. I'm not sure what the timeline is on that, or the
I think it's all waiting on deep
Yeah.
for permitting and stuff, but I know they passed their planning and zoning, and also, I mean, it should be hopefully
26 maybe.
coming on soon. Should be amazing.
Yeah, it's not a huge construction.
Yeah.
It's just,
No,
I think it's the permitting.
it's all the permanent, yeah, and we know how fast they are. yeah.
so
So
anyway,
we
that's
love deep,
exciting.
thank you for the money. All right, thanks for attending that, that's great.
So I just had a couple of things. One, I just wanted to follow up and say, when I saw that about Jason, I was just so sad because he was so fair and honest, and he would always follow up and say, hey, I'm thinking of publishing this, do you want to read it? And he restored my faith in reporters, which I had lost a couple of years ago. So I am very, very sad to hear about him, and I'm hoping that we can.
Yeah, I just remember him on election night in the basement of Town Hall, and how once the numbers came in, he
Yep.
just went into action.
Yep,
And-
absolutely. He was always just so great about
Yeah.
that.
That's great.
Then the other thing on a happier thing is and you were probably going to talk about the same thing, I attended, the program yesterday when the Lieutenant Governor and Deep and the developer came down to talk about the thread mill, which is such an exciting program. I'm so happy about it. I followed up with a woman from Deep today just to say thank you. I have talked to her on the phone for 15 years and I had never met her in person, which is so funny. So I followed up with her and re-invited her to come down and
Okay.
see the other brownfield sites and to talk about potential grants, like when she talked about for Stillmanville, or even maybe for the grain mill. So I will continue to chat with her about it, but I invited her, I said, maybe when the weather gets warm,
Yeah.
it's nice to be standing next to the river. So I think that's really a positive thing. I also asked her, and she wants me to follow up with DECD. I know we had a question about whether or not they can use a consultant that isn't on the DAS list, because currently their consultant is not on the DAS list. And her thought is as long as they go through a bid process, they can do it, but she wants me to follow up
Okay.
and ask
Would you
DCD
loop
that
Jonathan
question.
in directly?
Okay, yeah. And finally, the last thing is, excited, I know it's finished up, but once again, the lobster pot tree is such a positive thing for the community. It really brings so many people in, and it really kind of puts us on the map. So thank you again to the Ocean.
Yeah, Lisa
Lisa.
and
It's
Diana.
staggering the days with the lighting with Mystic this year really helped out.
It did
because
help a
there was
lot, yeah.
Not the traffic
Yeah.
problems there were last year.
So, and also I did, and I know you did as well, meet with Joshua Welsh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I talked.
And he's done such a great job, and he's also highlighted the importance and the number of volunteers and how we really do need more volunteers, volunteer firemen, ambulance people, and I really think he's got a great idea there. So kind of following up with that, but I support what he's looking at.
Okay, good.
I had a few questions for him, and, we're kind of following up on that.
Okay, good. If you think there's anything that he should put in that proposal.
Yeah, he
it'll
gave
still
me
be,
a
like, evolving.
copy of the draft.
Okay,
He
good.
said you were going to send it to the town attorney?
Yes.
Or did-
Yes.
You did,
Did
okay.
you speak to him after I did?
Yeah, I talked to him today.
Okay, because, yeah, we had a really good discussion.
Yeah.
One thing that I was concerned about, actually, I thought we were going to discuss it tonight, but that's all right, as long as it's okay to discuss it now.
Yeah, it was
It's in
under
our
my
comments,
comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm fully in favor of it. I'm a little concerned about how we define active, as far as active members. And I know it's probably going to be up to the departments to define.
They all have their
Whatever we
own.
can
I
do.
asked him the same question.
Yeah, and he came up with some good ideas. He doesn't know exactly where it goes in the language, but he said you can't really do a percentage of
No.
calls because Quambog has 2 calls
Yeah.
and Mystic has 80 or, But if you did like a minimum of, say, 20 calls a year or something, that would apply to all the departments.
Mhm.
And he thought that would be reasonable. It says if you can't show up to 20 calls a year,
Are you active?
you're really
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
active. So I hope there's a way that we can incorporate something like that into it.
Yeah, I know that he and I talked about, something similar, how we do that. And, what's the worst case if you have 20 calls? I mean, Old Mystic, they have 1,600 calls a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. But what
So
you
if you
only
say
have-
20
95.
in one of the smaller ones, and then what's the worst case? People go and knock on the door, they want to volunteer and join the fire department there? Well,
Yeah.
is that really such a bad thing? As long as they're active.
Yeah, as long as they're not
so-
just joining for the tax break.
No, exactly. Oh,
I want to
absolutely.
write this down.
Yep. So no, we talked basically about the similar thing, about
And
the
the one other-
certification and the active. And
The one other concern I had, I mean, it's not a major concern, but I'd love to see a way that it could go to a referendum.
So I actually disagree with you on that, because I think we get such low turnouts at referendums.
I know.
And also, if it's a town meeting and people really feel strongly, can they not petition to send it to referendum?
Yeah, they can. I just, like, with the budget, and I know we're going to probably discuss it again this year as to whether we send that to referendum, because last year was pretty disappointing.
Yeah.
But perhaps if, I don't know, can a referendum, can a budget referendum be combined with any other questions, or does that have to be a standalone referendum?
They've always advised us not to, but I don't know if it's an actual rule. Do you know?
It's just always
Yeah.
advised that
I
the
just-
budget should be its.
I agree with you that people can show up at a town meeting, and obviously there's a lot of discussion, but there's always a lot more publicity around a referendum. And even if they don't show up, at least I feel you had your chance. Whereas with the town meeting, it sort of goes unnoticed, particularly if it's in the summer.
Well, if it's in the summer, we've had people complain about that. But
Yeah.
the concern would be
Yeah,
the next, I mean, although people haven't showed up, it's like, when you see 1% and 2% turnout at the referendum.
No, I agree. I
And
understand
it's
that.
the cost to run it and the amount of people, it's, I don't know, I prefer to try to advertise it, I don't know how we do this, something else to talk about,
It's
advertise
got to
it
be
better.
social media.
It's just so hard with that and everything. I mean, I agree, I think, I love our town meeting form of government, but it is a bit dated in the sense that you just assume everybody can show up on
Yeah.
a Monday, the third Monday of the month, and go, and there's no you're now in the day of absentee ballots and early
Yeah.
voting,
Yeah.
it's very, it's not, as open and, equitable as a referendum, but then at the same time, I feel like we've gotten such pushback from residents about having even the budget go to referendum, because they feel like it's such a waste of money when there's such low turnout, and if we're looking at something that's potentially like $100,000 to $200,000 fiscal impact,
Yeah, I
people
think
push
it's
us
even
back
less.
about an $80 million
Yeah.
budget,
And
so,
this is-
but I also get that, so we'll double check, I'll go through the town attorney notes about putting something on an existing budget referendum.
Yeah, because that wouldn't push it back
At least
into the
they're-
fall, which seems,
Yeah, and that was something else I was going to ask the Board of Finance tonight too, if they're not really involved in it, but just to be respectful, like if they have a sense, like, what timeline would they prefer, given like the budgets right now? Like, would they prefer us like try and fast track it really quick now, do it during, or wait till after? So I
I
don't.
mean, for this.
For this abatement, yeah. Like, they don't really have a role in it, but it obviously impacts them in the sense of
It's gonna
the
impact.
budget.
Yeah.
Okay, no, that's really good, that's great.
Because he and I talked about as well, what happens to young firefighter volunteers who don't own property?
Mm.
And then it would basically cover their car tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So which is much less
Yeah.
probably than $1,000 or $2,000, depending on what
What
kind
kind
of
of car
car
they
they have.
I mean, it used to be with the town meeting too. I mean, the fire district meetings, it used to be 25 years ago, if they wanted to build a new firehouse or buy a new piece of equipment, they could pack the room with firefighters to vote for the budget item. Now, they don't have enough firefighters that live in,
Yeah.
that can afford to live in the district. So
Yeah, yeah.
they can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, anything to me that would promote bringing in the volunteers, we need the volunteers. We've seen, you try to hire,
Yeah,
it's well more than the $100,000 if you try to hire.
we don't have a big
We just
pipeline
don't.
of younger people coming in.
Exactly.
Agreed.
Okay, so this is good. So, and again, it's not, you feel free to like workshop and share that draft. It's not like a secret, it's just it hasn't been through legal process, it hasn't been vetted, it's just
Yeah,
a very
yeah.
much a discussion
Yeah.
document, but
No, I haven't seen.
did
Do
Josh
we
share
have-
with you? No, Josh would have shared
He
it.
gave me a copy today.
Okay.
He
Yeah,
had
it
a
wasn't
memo.
a memo.
Yes, that's
It
what she
wasn't like a
has.
sample. Do we have like a draft of the ordinance, or was it?
That's what he shared
Yes.
with me
Okay, I'll have to
today.
look again. I don't
Yeah.
think that's what it was.
Yeah, he did an amazing job. I mean, just so much research
So
and
much research and
outreach and, coordinating the meetings with all the different fire departments.
I know, just
And he
getting
said
those
they're
guys
all in
together
agreement.
is-
Yeah, it was
they're all
really
in
nice
agreement,
meeting.
which is great.
And it didn't start that way, so it was really nice. But this is good. I'll see if we can get them to share what their existing definitions are of active, and then see if we could find some sort of common baseline that could at least be included in there, that they maybe all have in common already. And if not, maybe we could encourage an increased threshold. But I did like how he tiered it in that two-tier
Yeah.
way. I thought
Yeah.
that was really smart.
Exactly, I agree.
Well, that's based on the state statute, isn't it?
Yeah, but you can just give all 2,000
Oh, you can.
based on, their definition of active, and I think he went in and, I'm sure by doing research and looking at what other towns did, but he's the one who came up with like the 2 tiers to,
Okay.
so you can get
For the
some
R1
people, but then the
tiers.
R to really encourage that next level,
Yeah.
which
Which is
clever.
really what we need. I mean, some districts, he was telling me, don't have any.
Yeah, yeah.
So, living in Old Mystic, you're fortunate if the fire department comes up, they've got a
Yeah.
medical personnel with them, but that is not the case if you live in other parts of
Yeah.
town necessarily.
So good, okay, so that's really good. Do you have anything else?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, just to keep you guys updated, maybe start with on Stillman, no, I keep calling it Stillman, I have like a thing in my head about it, maybe it's a sign. The thread mill, we had a call this morning with the state, with DCD, with Binny and her team, and then with Lee Properties, and then Jim and myself and Molly. And we're gonna follow up again with them in 3 weeks and hopefully be able to sign the assistance agreement. Lee Properties still hadn't gotten us the MOU that Jim had drafted about the expectations for this agreement, but they just like literally right before the meeting sent it through. I haven't gotten to look at what they shared as feedback, but at least we have that. So we'll start that conversation and hopefully be able to finalize that with them. The call at the state brought up a number of questions though that need to still be ironed out. So we're going to be, Jim and I will be reaching out to other towns that they suggest about, basically is the agreement going to be structured as a grant, which was what we had originally intended. The developers would obviously prefer it to be a loan because I'm not going to pretend to understand the whole finance world, but it helps them with attracting other capital. But it could get tricky. We probably would have to go to a town meeting, even though it's going to be reimbursed by the state, it's still a loan. So Jim and I basically just had a lot of questions. So we're going to, Binny said she'd put us in touch with some other towns who've structured them, these brownfield things as loans. In these public-private partnerships, so we'll do some of that. We're also trying to figure out, some of those questions that you had asked, and like they seem, in a good way, eager to get started, but I cautioned him, I was like, you can't get started on things without approval from the state, or you're at risk for not being reimbursed.
And if the state wants them to use a consultant who's on the DAS list, and currently their consultant is not on the DAS
Yeah,
list,
that would-
then there's a chance of not being
Yeah.
reimbursed for
So
that.
does the town hold a lien?
We do, we still have we still have 2 liens, that was a
But
whole,
will we have a lien for the grant amount?
it depends, the whole thing is how we structure it. So if it comes to us and then we have the contracts with all the contractors, and then get verified and through the state reimbursed, or if we do them more as a loan to them and they do that and then we get reimbursed from the state. So that's why we have to, there's different ways, I guess, different towns have structured it. So that's where we left the call today, being like, we really have to
Because
do
we
more
want to
due
make sure we're
diligence.
protected. That
Yeah, we want-
if we have
they
2
need to
million that goes
perform
out,
for
they
the-
don't do it, we need to make sure we're going to get that
Yeah,
back.
and there's a lot of, I mean, this is where, I mean, Jim's great at a lot of things, but this is where he's extremely amazing, just his risk hat on. He's going through every kind of, not knowing loophole and just trying to figure it out, and not any bad intention from the developers, just to be sure the town is covered should anything go awry.
Yep.
So unfortunately, we had hoped today was going to be, I think, closer to getting things signed and moving forward and getting work on the mill done, but we just have to be sure we're protecting the town. So we have some more due diligence to do. Lee Properties is going to come, like I said, they got the MOU back tonight. They're going to do some of their own outreach and summarizing, and I saw 2 emails came in from them right before the meeting. So I think we're on a good track. It's just, it's really complicated, and if you see Jim and Molly, definitely thank them. It's kind of painful, but it's
And the
gonna be good.
DEP Brownfield person, even though she's been with DEP for years, she's new in
To the
that
program,
position.
yeah.
So she's learning. She told me she's learning and spending
Okay.
a lot of
Oh,
time
great.
talking.
We're
to
all
DEP,
learning together.
so, yeah.
Because it's definitely a tricky one. It's not just a typical, municipal grant. So we'll see, but just to keep you guys updated, then we on a, let's see, let's start with this one. So for the Climate Change Task Force, since they have a new chair starting, and they've been asking for more kind of support and just like back and forth, I had said to them, I'm happy to meet in between meetings and meet and connect and even connect them with different departments or whoever, myself or anyone else. And I think that'll work, but I still think it'd be really great if one of you could go at least to the first few meetings and really like, not like more than a liaison, kind of really be there and be like, assisting and hearing and taking things back to us. Just given that it's budget time, like I just can't commit to going to more night meetings. So don't have to answer now, but just like if you think
When do
about
they
it, look at
meet?
your
It's a
calendar.
Thursday, right?
It's a Thursday and it's at 5,
Yeah,
I
which
think,
Thursday?
at the aquarium.
Yeah, I've been to the meetings
It's like the
before.
third, I don't actually know. Well, you can look, and you don't have to answer now,
Yeah,
but just something
okay.
to think about. And if not, I think the meeting in between will be okay, but it just, it might be nice for them. And then to end on a positive thing, I think you guys know I've been stalking the Pawcatuck VFW. But no, we had a really great meeting last week, I think. But they're open to the idea of potentially doing a long-term lease with the town. We did not get into any sort of detail, just are they open to it or not for a multi-use recreational field kind of back abutting our fields. So our first step, because it might be a non-starter, is to do soil testing and see is it wetlands, how much of it is wetlands, is it not wetlands?
Sadly, I think it's filled wetlands.
I know.
And I don't think it's the greatest
I know,
filled.
so we'll find out. So it's like, we got them to, they've been wonderful partners, obviously, for a long time, but they're open to the idea, so we're gonna start with soil testing. Based on how that soil testing goes, I'll let you guys know. And then we'll go from there. They also did, DPW's been doing an amazing job. They also went and looked at the old Mystic site. They think they could get a field in there, but it's like really tight and tricky. I mean, everybody knows I have my dreams of affordable housing over there, but seeing that might not come true, we were like, what else could it be? And so they were trying to see, and they said the terrain is great. There is some wetlands, they're pretty sure, in some areas. There's obviously the septic issue, the sewer not being connected. And it would be tight and parking, and then we'd obviously have to see, like, I don't know how those neighbors would feel about having a recreational field there. So there's a lot of challenges to all
Would
this.
the building stay? Or-
The building would stay in this scenario. And
Maybe
even when the,
restrooms and-
try and improve the building a little bit, maybe have some more like, rec is using just a piece of the space for, I think, like senior aerobics right now. Like, most of it's just storage, but it could become,
There are things we could do with it. It would
Yeah.
actually probably be more expensive to take it down because of the building materials.
Yeah.
I'm sure
yeah,
there's.
I mean, it's mostly just all storage now, but it's just an idea, but just to keep, if you guys think of any other locations, there's still the WPCA facility as again, a possible option. It's tight and it'd probably be,
In Pawcatuck.
yeah, El Mary Hall. And obviously that's also, pretty big residential neighborhood. So, yeah, just trying to think of it. So let's see what happens with the wetlands soil. But that one's obviously just great because it's right
Are
there.
they using the field at Mystic Middle?
Yes.
They're already using that?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're already using it. It's pretty much book solid and
Okay.
it is wet, but
Yeah,
they do
it's
use
definitely
it.
wet, but it's,
Yes. So, yeah. So we'll see. And I think that was it. Anything else? Any questions? I think there's a lot going on, but I can't think of anything else right now. Okay, look at
So now-
it. 6:10. We did a good job. All right.
thank you.
Meeting adjourned.